Heartwarming discovery: how a black maid's life-changing act transformed a billionaire's son's grief in a world where money never seemed to be a problem. A heart-wrenching tragedy unraveled in the sparkling corridors of the Ashford estate. James Ashford, the beloved heir to a fortune, had lost his mother in a shocking, tragic accident. The news hit like a thunderclap, tearing through his privileged life with a brutal ferocity that left him alone in a mansion echoing with memories. Despair wrapped around him like a tightening noose. But in the midst of his darkness was Clara, a maid in the sprawling estate, navigating the floors with the grace of a ghost. Little did anyone know, she was the key to unraveling a mystery that would change everything. Clara was unlike anyone else in the house. She held secrets woven into her very being, hidden beneath the surface of her soft-spoken demeanor. She had a knack for sensing the unspoken pain of others. Eyes sharp like daggers, she watched as James retreated further into his grief, his laughter swallowed by shadows. It was eerie how the wind would howl through the cracks, mirroring his cries of anguish. Then, she discovered something peculiar in the attic, a dust-covered box that seemed to hum with a strange energy. Heart racing, Clara approached it. What was hidden inside could either unleash a wave of healing or plunge them deeper into sorrow. Days passed, and the air felt heavy with unspoken words. Clara made her decision: she would uncover the box's secrets. She felt an urge pulling her, a calling to dive into the unknown for the sake of a boy gripped by grief. What could possibly lie within? The thoughts haunted her nights, and during those hours as she lay awake, she could hear James's soft sobs nearby, echoing through the quiet estate. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The moment of truth arrived one stormy night. Clara retrieved the box, her pulse pounding almost as if the box was alive, sharing her anxiety. Thunder rumbled outside as she pried it open. A wave of warmth washed over her, but what she found inside spun her world off its axis. It was a collection of letters, beautifully penned, but they weren't just mundane notes. They were confessions, bathed in feelings so raw they seemed to breathe right off the page. Each word felt like a pulse in her hands, and Clara knew these letters contained secrets that could shatter or mend James's heart. What would James think? Would he be ready for the truth? Clara's heart raced anew with worry. What power did these letters hold? And more importantly, what would it mean for their lives if she handed them over to him? As the storm raged outside, each crack of thunder jolted Clara from her thoughts. She clutched the box tightly, the weight of her decision pressing against her chest. The attic felt like a battleground. Shadows danced and flickered in the candlelight, echoing her turmoil. What if she was wrong? The letters pulsed with unsaid truths that could cut deeper than the loss James had already faced. Yet, as she opened the folded pages, the words seemed to whisper, urging her to act. She sat on the dusty floor, the storm fading into the background. The first letter caught her eye. It bared a raw confession from a voice Clara recognized immediately: James's mother. The ink told of hidden fears and a love that had never been enough to shield her from the dark corners of their world. Tears pooled in Clara's eyes as she read. She could feel the depth of the woman's heartache. This was not mere ink on paper, this was a soul reaching out from the past, reaching out to her son. It was unbearable yet beautiful. Clara's hands shook as she turned to the next letter, each one revealing layers of pain and stories left untold. There were apologies and regrets, all woven together like a tapestry of grief. James needed this. He had to see it. These letters could bridge an enormous chasm between him and the understanding he so desperately sought, but who was she to decide his fate? Clara bit her lip, her heart pounding like a frantic drum. She thought of James alone in his room, surrounded by memories that tormented him. She could feel it already, the weight of those letters pressing down on him. Would he embrace the truth or recoil from it in horror? Time slipped away, and the storm thundered on, each rumble a reminder of her dilemma. Just as she reached for the last envelope, a loud bang echoed through the house, startling her. The door to the attic had swung open, revealing James, his silhouette framed by flickering light. His eyes darted around the dimly lit space before landing on Clara, who sat frozen on the floor, the mysterious box beside her. "What are you doing up here?" His voice was hoarse, laced with curiosity and perhaps a flicker of fear. Clara knew the confrontation was inevitable, but she hadn't expected him to find her so soon. "James, she hesitated, the words caught in her throat like a choking vine. "I found something." His eyes narrowed, narrowing in suspicion before shifting to the box. "What is it?" Clara was acutely aware of the letters peeking out, their secrets threatening to spill into the air. She took a deep breath, feeling the gravity of the moment. "I found letters. From your mother." Shock painted his features as he took a step closer. Pain and hope mingled in his eyes, creating a storm of emotions Clara could hardly bear. Would he deny her or reach out for the healing she believed was hidden within those pages? The air crackled with tension, and for a moment, everything hung in the balance. "Show me," he whispered, an urgent plea in his tone. Clara's heart raced, the weight of her choice more pressing than ever. Would showing him these letters ignite his pain or spark a glimmer of hope? As she held the box out towards him, she felt a stirring deep within, a realization that this moment would change everything. But what if the truth buried within those letters proved too much? Would it fracture what remained of James's spirit, or could it be the key to his rebirth? As his fingers grazed the box, time seemed to freeze, and the storm outside roared back to life, reflecting the chaos of their hearts. What lay ahead was both daunting and electrifying. Would the truth truly set them free, or would it chain them to their past? The moment James pulled the box closer, Clara felt a whirlwind of emotions crashing through her chest. His fingers brushed the faded edges, trembling as if they were about to ignite a flame. She watched as his expression shifted, the mask of curiosity slowly giving way to something deeper, something darker. What is in there?" His voice quivered. "Letters from your mother," Clara replied softly, her heart pounding in her ears. "She's shared things with you, things you should know." He hesitated, eyes glued to the box. A storm rumbled in the distance, and the temperature in the attic felt like it dropped a few degrees. James's breath came faster, and for a moment, Clara feared he'd pull away, retreating into the shadows as he had done so many times before. "Let me see," he asserted, his words sharper than before. There was urgency now, a yearning for the truth that he couldn't contain. Clara nodded slowly, unsure if she was about to gift him a lifeline or a dagger. Gingerly, James opened the box. The flickering candlelight danced across the crinkled envelopes, illuminating tales of heartache, loss, and perhaps a flicker of solace. The first letter he grabbed felt heavier than it should. He unfolded it, and Clara watched as his face paled, then flushed with a torrent of emotions. His eyes moved rapidly across the familiar handwriting. This is my mother's words escaped him, caught in a whirlpool of realization. Clara's heart ached watching the emotional battle unfold within him. She waited in the stillness, holding her breath. James blinked rapidly, his jaw tightening as if forcing himself to digest each word with agonizing restraint. "What does she say?" he whispered, almost as if speaking too loudly would break the fragile connection to his past. "It's about her struggles," Clara encouraged softly, inching closer. "About her love for you, how she felt. It's all written in those letters." James shook his head, disbelief flooding his expression like the shadows around them. "I didn't want to remember. How can I break this barrier?" "By confronting the truth," she urged, her own voice trembling. "These letters might be the key to understanding your heartache and healing." With a shaky hand, he continued reading, the tension twisted tightly in the air. Each sentence peeled back layers of silence that had cocooned his memories for too long. Clara could see the confusion turning to sorrow, a haunting melancholy now visible in his gaze. Then, just as he reached the second letter, a heavy thud resonated from downstairs. The house shuddered with the sound, rattling the walls and sending a shiver down Clara's spine. James jolted, tearing his eyes away from the letters, a new fear flashing across his face. "What was that?" he asked, uncertainty inching into his voice. "I don't know, maybe it's the storm." Clara pulled the shawl tighter around her shoulders, feeling unnervingly exposed. The letters lay between them, the bearers of revelations that felt heavier than thunder itself. As Clara's eyes darted toward the attic door, another loud crash echoed through the house. Was it the wind? Or something more sinister? James's face paled, his fear mixing with the panic swirling in the air. "Stay here," he ordered, moving toward the door. Clara grabbed his arm, desperation surging within her. "James, don't. We should stay together." He looked torn, glancing between the door and the box filled with the unknown truth. "If something's wrong, I need to check it out, or this could be a distraction, pulling you away from what matters." Clara shot back. They locked eyes, a storm brewing between them. Then it hit her sometimes, the past could resurface in terrifying ways. What if the letters were not just about uncovering the truth but also about confronting hidden dangers lurking close by? And as the thunder cracked once more, they both sensed it, a threshold they were on the brink of crossing. What awaited them just beyond the door could result in either understanding or chaos. "James, please!" Suddenly, the attic window shattered, gusts of wind pouring through like angry spirits. Papers flew around them, and in that electric moment, Clara realized, this was just the beginning. Whatever awaited them outside, they had to face it together. But would the truth from those letters strengthen their bond or tear them apart completely? The storm had brought them together, but now, it threatened to rip them apart. What else was waiting to reveal itself? The wind howled through the jagged shards of the broken window, whipping around Clara and James like an icy specter. Papers fluttered wildly, their words lost in the chaos, echoing the turmoil brewing inside James's heart. The light flickered as another crack of thunder split the sky, and with it came a shudder that rattled the very bones of the attic. "James!" Clara shouted over the din, panic rising in her throat. The letters, the memories within, swirled dangerously close to the open window as if trying to escape. He stared at her for a split second, torn between the comfort of the words from his mother and the dread awaiting them from below. "I need to see if there's something wrong." Clara's nails dug into his arm, a grounding force against the tempest. "Please, don't leave me. Whatever that is, it can wait. This is your moment to learn what she wanted you to know." His gaze flickered back to the letters, their weight now magnified by his fear. With another crack of thunder, something snapped within him, the barrier that held his emotions in check flickering like the candle's flame. "Stay with me, James," Clara urged, her own breath shaky. She could feel the heaviness of unspoken fears hidden in his soul. "We can face this together." James swallowed hard, the letters still in his hand, but the urgency of the moment gripped him tighter than any fear. He knew this search for the truth couldn't happen if he turned away now. Another crash echoed from downstairs, louder this time, and a part of him churned with dread at what he might discover. "Okay," he whispered, almost to himself. He sat down again, placing the letter gently on his lap. The storm raged outside, but Clara's soothing presence anchored him. "What does she say in the next one?" She pressed, her voice soft yet firm, urging him to open himself up to the revelations. With a trembling hand, James reached for the second letter, his fingers brushing against the faded paper. Unfolding it, Clara leaned in closer, her heart racing alongside his. "This was a time in her life before the world became dark for her," he said, reading aloud. "I felt lost, abandoned by my own choices. I never wanted you to become like me." Clara's heart sank, essence of empathy pushing against the walls. Each word felt like a pebble dropping into a dark well of sorrow, creating ripples of pain that resonated deeply between them. I never knew, James whispered, eyes shining with unspent tears. Was she really afraid I would become just like her? Yes, Clara replied softly, her eyes glistening. But this shows she cared enough to warn you. She wanted you to have a different path. Yet, before he could respond, the door creaked ominously, and in the low light of the attic, their eyes widened. A shadow shifted just beyond the threshold. Clara felt her breath hitch again as dread washed over her. "Stay behind me," James muttered, his voice low but filled with determination. He moved protectively in front of Clara, but neither dared to take their eyes off the silhouette lurking in the darkness. Another pounding shook the house, this time coming from within the walls, as if something was trying to break free. "We can't stay here," Clara whispered, a mix of fear and resolve steeped into her words. "Whatever it is, we'll face it," James replied, steeling himself as he stepped closer to the door. Shadows slinked ominously in the corners, and Clara felt every chill course down her spine. Then, as the next letter floated softly to the edge of the box, it caught on the light. Eventual clarity and truth lay just within their reach. But what lied beneath this sudden upheaval they were facing? As James gripped the handle, he turned his gaze back to the letters. "We have to find out the truth even if it hurts." The door creaked open, darkness pooling just beyond, and they both held their breath. What awaited them could tear apart everything they thought they knew, but they had no choice. The storm raged on, and the chaos threatened to swallow them whole. Would the journey into the shadows lead them to healing? Or reveal horrors they weren't prepared to face? The door swung open, revealing nothing but raw shadows. The air grew thick with tension, and James's heart pounded like a war drum in his chest. He took a slow step forward, his eyes straining to pierce through the darkness, but all that greeted them was an unsettling silence. Clara clung to his shoulder, her fingers cold and trembling. "What if it's not just dark?" she whispered. Her words sent a shiver crawling down his spine, an echo of something deeper lurking just beyond their view. Then a low, guttural sound reverberated within the attic walls, rattling the very foundations of their being. James's breath hitched, a bitter taste of fear pooling in his throat. "We need a light," he said, his voice just above a whisper. He fumbled in the corner of the attic for the flashlight he remembered seeing earlier, its existence now a life raft in a vast ocean of dread. With shaky fingers, he flicked the switch, illuminating the heavy gloom ahead. The beam carved through the darkness, momentarily revealing neglected furniture and cobwebs stretching like skeletal fingers. But it was the movement of flicker at the far edge of the light that caught his attention. "Do you see that?" she exclaimed, pointing. He squinted, heart racing. Something darted back into hideaway as if realized it had been seen. What was it? Clara gasped. James took a deep breath, steeling himself. "Let us go check it out." Cautiously, they moved forward. The atmosphere was thick with uncertainty, but the urgency of the letters propelled them onward. As they crossed the threshold, another sharp sound echoed from below, the unmistakable creak of wood splintering under pressure. Clara's eyes widened with fear. "James, we really shouldn't just a little longer," he insisted. They needed to unearth whatever secret was buried within this storm. The shadows shifted again, and suddenly, a flash of movement erupted from behind a trunk. Without thinking, James lunged forward, the light sweeping around to reveal an old photograph. He crouched down, picking it up, his fingers trembling. It was a faded image of a woman he recognized. His mother, but the expression on her face twisted his stomach into knots. Eyes widened in fear, mouth open as if caught in a scream. A chill crept over him, an unsettling realization settling deep in his gut. "James?" Clara's voice quavered as she peered closer, her own fear creeping into her expression. "What's wrong?" Torn between memories and the haunting echoes of his past, he felt as if he were teetering on the edge of two worlds. "I don't know, but this isn't just a picture." He turned it over, and a familiar scrawl captured his eye. "Clara," he breathed, "it's a note." "Read it," she urged, eyes wide with a mix of dread and curiosity. As James inspected the note, his heart sank further with every word. It detailed a dark warning, something veiled in secrecy. Shadows from his mother's past seeped into the present, dragging him deeper into the storm of revelations. Clara hesitated. What if whatever is lurking in the shadows is connected to this? The weight of her words pressed down on him, as if the very air thickened around them. They were on a precipice, every decision carrying them toward truth or terror. Without another word, they exchanged a look filled with raw realization. Whatever lay ahead, whatever spirit haunted this house, it might hold the key to James's past, and an answer he never prepared himself to face. As another crash of thunder boomed outside, the ground beneath them trembled. The sound encircled them, a harsh reminder of the reality they couldn't escape from. "I won't let it take us," he declared. The shadows may have loomed, but their journey had just begun. Little did they know, answers awaited that would shatter everything they held dear. The sound of something scrambling echoed from the corner again. A pair of glowing eyes stared back at them. What was lurking in the dark, and would it unleash a truth they were never meant to find? The eyes glowed with a ghostly intensity, cutting through the shadows like twin lanterns. James's heart raced, adrenaline coursing through his veins. "What is that?" he managed to stutter, his grip tightening around the flashlight. "James, we should go." Clara's voice felt distant, almost caught in the web of fear that ensnared them both. Before he could respond, a sound emerged from the darkness, soft and pitiful, like a whimper mixed with a sigh. The eyes blinked, revealing narrow slits that seemed almost human. James took a cautious step closer, casting the light forward. With each step, a surge of terror twisted in his gut. The shadowy figure shifted, finally revealing its form, a small, scruffy dog, trembling and soaked through. It was a pitiful sight, but James hardly had time to feel compassion. He was still reeling from the photograph, the presence of something sinister surrounding them. "Is it hurt?" Clara asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "We can't stay here," James said, the urge to flee thrumming in his chest like a warning bell. But the dog let out another whimper, and he hesitated, his heart torn between fear and compassion. "That note," Clara reminded him, her eyes flicking back to the photograph still clutched in James's hand. "It mentioned something about a guardian. Could this be?" Before he could finish the thought, the shadows shifted yet again. Suddenly, a deeper growl rang out from the darkness, an unmistakable threat. James's instincts kicked in. "We need to go, now," he shouted, grabbing Clara's hand. Together, they raced toward the rickety stairs, the flashlight beam bouncing wildly as they hurried. The growl echoed behind them, sharp and menacing, urging them forward. But the urgency of their escape didn't drown out the sense that something was wrong. Something was waiting for them, something monumental. As they burst through the attic door, slamming it shut behind them, the air felt frigid. There was no comfort in the warm light of the house, no safety in familiarity. They stood panting, hearts pounding as they processed what they had just experienced. "James, we can't just leave that dog." Clara's eyes were wide, a mix of fear and determination. "What if it needs us?" "Clara, you don't understand," he said, panic edging his voice. "Whatever that is might not just be a dog. If everything from the past is crawling back into the light, who knows what awaits us next?" "I don't care," she fired back, her spirit igniting in the face of uncertainty. "We can't just abandon it." In that moment, their eyes locked, each wrestling with their own fears and motivations. James felt the weight of an impending storm, urging him to make a choice between what was safe and what was right. Then, the walls shuddered, and the house reverberated with an unholy scream, an echo of ancient grief, or perhaps something worse. The very air hummed with a fierce energy that set James's teeth on edge. "James! What do we do?" Clara cried out. I don't know," he admitted, dread pooling in his gut. But as the house seemed to shudder beneath another wave of thunder, a flicker of resolve ignited within him. "We have to find answers. Whatever connects to that dog, it might lead us back to the truth." We might uncover the reason behind those shadows. With Clara nodding beside him, each feeling the claustrophobic threat suffocating their courage, they steeled themselves. Whatever truths were hidden in the darkness would not be buried for long. Just then, the attic door creaked open again. A shadow loomed behind it, and another growl filled the air, louder, more vicious than before. Clara's grip wrapped tighter around his arm. What's coming for us now? A decision had to be made. Would they face the darkness together, or would it consume them both? The door swung open, revealing a silhouette that made James's breath hitch in his throat. It was as if the darkness itself had taken form, curling around a hulking figure. Shadows rippled over its fur, blending seamlessly with the inky blackness of the attic. Clara's grip on his arm tightened further, nails digging into his skin as fear radiated off her. Stay back. James stepped forward, trying to shield Clara. The flashlight beam quivered, illuminating a maw of jagged teeth and eyes that glinted malevolently in the light. It wasn't just a growl, it was a promise of pain. It's not a dog, Clara murmured, eyes wide, filled with dawning horror. Then what the hell is it? James shot back, panic coursing through him. The answer lingered just outside their grasp, twisted in the depths of shadow and fury. Just as hope began to evaporate, the scruffy pup from before darted past them, a tiny beacon of defiance against the looming threat. It yipped, a desperate sound that filled the attic with a fragile sense of bravery, urging the larger creature to back down. The beast's growl morphed into a snarl, but the dog barked again, this time a little more forcefully, like it was challenging the very darkness that surrounded them. James. Clara's voice pierced through the mounting fear. It's protecting us. A rush of energy surged through him. That's right. There was something vulnerable yet fiercely protective in the little creature's stance. Clara, we need to back away, slowly, he directed, hoping against all odds that the dog's bravery would be enough to hold the monster at bay. Clara nodded, tears glistening in her eyes. But if it knows something, the bigger shadow lunged, snapping its teeth near the dog, but instead of retreating, the little one barked even louder, echoing off the walls like a defiant heartbeat. The creature hesitated, as if tossed back by an invisible force, caught in a moment of uncertainty. James watched as the unthinkable unfolded. Something shifted in the air, a battle of will stretched between predator and guardian. Maybe it's before Clara could finish, the entire house trembled again, and a low rumble of thunder played in the distance. Just like that, the shadows began to pull back, the menacing aura around the larger creature dissipating, replaced by a flickering light that danced across the attic walls. Look! James pointed, the fear starting to give way to something else, a flicker of hope. It's retreating. Realizing this was their chance, they slowly inched back toward the staircase. The small dog growled softly, still standing its ground. James's heart swelled with an unexpected fondness for the creature. It wasn't just a dog, it was the embodiment of tenacity and unwavering loyalty in a world that felt ready to swallow them whole. Just as they reached the stairs, another crash echoed through the house. A shift in the fabric of reality pressed down on them, and the air crackled. James! Clara screamed, stumbling back as a shroud of darkness twisted around her. Clara! He lunged forward instinctively, but the shadows had sharpened, creating a barrier between them. The little dog yipped again, as if summoning every ounce of courage to push through the encroaching darkness. A voice echoed, low and haunting. You think you can escape? Who's there? James shouted, his heart pounding. Your past has not forgotten you. And neither have the guardians you abandoned. James felt a chill shoot down his spine. That voice, it was intimately familiar, a whisper from the recesses of his mind. Clara! He cried out, but fear choked him as the shadows lifted her into the air, wrapping around her like tendrils of smoke. Desperate and furious, he turned to the little dog. Help us fight. But as the night deepened, a new terror surged. What if their only ally was not enough? In that moment, they stood divided by fear, shadows closing in, but hope flickered like a long-forgotten memory. Still, the haunting question loomed: what did the echoes from James's past want from him? Will your choices lead to salvation or doom? The voice echoed ominously, as Clara's terrified scream cut through the air, and in the darkest hour, the true battle awaited. The darkness constricted around Clara, pulling her deeper into the depths of shadow. James couldn't breathe as panic clawed at his throat. He felt helpless, like a ship tossed in a relentless storm. The little dog was between him and the monstrous silhouette, a tiny but brave warrior confronting the dark. "Let her go!" he shouted, desperation sharpening his voice into a razor. "She hasn't done anything." A rasping laugh floated from the shadows, chilling him to the core. "You underestimate the power of your past, James. It never forgets." Clara's eyes flickered with terror, and in that moment, a glimmer of recognition flickered across her face. "James. I remember the stories." She gasped, grasping for something, anything that might save them. "Stories?" he echoed, confused. "Yes. My grandmother used to tell me about the guardians in the shadows. They don't want to harm us unless we provoke them." The enormity of her words hit him like a brick. In a life full of distractions and the frenzy of adulthood, maybe he had forgotten those tales too. Maybe this was tied to something far bigger than either of them understood. "Clara, hold on. If they're guardians, then they can be reasoned with. We just have to." Before he could finish, the air thickened with an electric charge that prickled his skin. The shadows writhed like snakes, and the voice snarled again, stirring memories. "Won't save you. Only acknowledgement will." "Acknowledgement?" He frowned, shoving the fear down. "What do you want from us?" The larger creature jerked closer, shadows extending menacingly. It was a wall of dark fury, and yet, amidst that terrifying presence, he spotted something. A soft, faint glow emanating from the small dog. It fought against the encroaching shadows, standing its ground with a force of will that left James in awe. "Listen," he urged, his heart racing. "We're sorry. If we've ignored our past, we're willing to fight for it. We just need to understand." The growl softened into something else: curiosity? Or was it just a chilling prelude to its next move? Clara's eyes shone with hope. "James, the dog, it's not just protecting us. It's a part of all of this. It must know the truth." As if to confirm her thought, the scruffy pup barked again, this time a sharp, commanding sound, piercing through the thick tension. The shadows quivered, hesitating as if considering the challenge. "Go," James said to the little dog. "We're with you." With a determined yip, the dog bolted forward, darting closer to Clara. The shadows hesitated, as if testing the loyalty of the creature that stood before them. James felt a heartbeat in the air, something primal and ancient. His breath steadied, as if sensing a shift in the atmosphere. The voice lingered, a whisper brushing his ear. "What you abandoned was love. Can you embrace it again?" "Love?" James muttered, his mind racing through lost memories. Images of laughter, warmth, moments shared around the kitchen table flooded back. The crush of a comforting hug as old memories danced to the surface. He clenched a fist, the truth rising within him. "Clara, it's about forgiveness. It's not just about our past but what we make of it moving forward." "Sure it is, but how do we prove it?" Clara asked, desperation creeping into her tone. The shadows swelled, swirling around with a force that made the attic tremble. "Prove it or be consumed. I won't let that happen," James shouted, determination surging. "Clara, we must enter those memories. Together. What if they destroy us? We won't go in unarmed." He nodded toward the little dog. "This one believes in us. That counts for something." As he took a step forward, ready to reclaim what they lost, the shadows surged forward, fierce and thunderous. In that moment, he felt Clara at his side, resolute. If it's a battle they want, it's a battle they'll get. But as he prepared to confront the darkness, he couldn't shake the feeling that either redemption or ruin was lying just ahead, waiting to swallow them whole, and just as the shadows lunged, a blinding light erupted, and the room transformed around them. James gasped at what lay beyond, a choice they both had to make, an answer intertwined with both their pasts. What could it be? Were they ready to face the truth waiting on the other side of the light? The light enveloped them, an almost palpable force that felt warm and inviting yet threaded with tension. James squeezed Clara's hand, the grip of solidarity calming his racing heart. They were floating, suspended in an ethereal space that shimmered with hues of amber and gold. Their surroundings morphed, revealing fragments of their memories woven together like a quilt of unshared moments. "Where are we?" Clara whispered, scanning the vibrant scene unfolding around them. James took a step forward and found himself standing in a sunlit kitchen. The aroma of freshly baked cookies washed over him. He recognized it instantly. It was his childhood home. He could almost hear his mother's laughter blending with the clattering of dishes, a symphony of warmth and nostalgia, but the laughter faded as he turned his gaze to find Clara standing beside him, eyes wide with wonder. The scene flickered, revealing a painful memory, one he had tried so hard to forget. There, in the corner, was a family photo taken on a day that had started with sunshine and ended in sorrow. James's heart clenched at the sight of it, memories crashing into him like waves. I remember this day," Clara said softly, noticing the somber atmosphere. "You were happy until everything changed," he murmured, feeling the weight of regret. "I pushed everyone away after the accident. I thought it would protect me. But I just hurt myself in the process." The shadows crept back, a threatening presence lurking just out of sight. The whispers returned, sinister and taunting. "You pretend to forget, but the truth is hidden only behind your walls of grief." "No!" James shouted defiantly, anger bubbling up from the pit of his stomach. "That's not how it works. I was hurting, I still am. But I won't shy away from it anymore." The light flickered violently, responding to his distress. It pulsed like a heartbeat, threatening to break under the strain of tension filling the air. Clara stepped closer, her hand trembling in his. "What if we can't escape from this place?" she asked, fear etching her features. "What if the shadows consume us for good?" The shadows twisted and distorted, drawing closer as if sensing their fears. But at that moment, the little dog raced forward, barking furiously at the advancing darkness, its glow brightening in defiance. The murmuring voices shifted, sounding almost confused. "You dare challenge what lies in the depths of your own heart?" James felt an overwhelming surge of determination wash over him. "We'll embrace it," he declared, his voice steady. "We will remember everything. The joy, the pain, all of it. If we're to reclaim our lives, we need to face our truth together." As he spoke, the world around them shifted again, fast-forwarding through scenes of love and loss, laughter and grief. Memories streamed through like a rushing current: his first love, the heartache of leaving home, the joy of new friendships, the good moments he thought were lost to his sorrow. "See?" Clara whispered, her eyes glistening. "They're all still a part of you. We can't run from this anymore." The darkness recoiled, the shadows wavering as if unsure how to react. But then, a piercing howl erupted from the depths, an anguished sound that reverberated through the air, sending a chill down James's spine. "You cannot fight against your own past. It will take you down." Just as the shadows lunged once more, the little dog leaped into the fray, a beacon of light radiating from its small form. The overwhelming glow enveloped James and Clara, pushing back the darkness and illuminating the room. "What do we do now?" Clara shouted above the cacophony, her voice strained. "Hold on to the love," he yelled back, his heart racing. "We have to let it guide us through." And as they steadied themselves, James felt a powerful wave of belonging wash over him. In that instant, the shadows shrieked, their hold crumbling under the force of their shared resolve, but just as they tapped into that strength, a deafening silence engulfed them. The air felt charged a calm before the storm. James and Clara exchanged glances. Heartbeats pounding in unison. They grasped the little dog, bracing for whatever came next, and just as the first wave of shadows began to dissolve, a dark figure emerged from the depths, looming larger than before. "You think you've won?" It boomed, its voice chilling. "There's still more to uncover. Your journey is only beginning." What lay ahead? What truths would they still have to face in the coming storm? The final battle had begun, and as the shadow loomed larger, it felt as if the very air thickened with trepidation. James's heart pounded like a war drum as he stepped closer, feeling Clara at his side, her grip shining with determination. "Are you ready?" he asked, trying to mask the fear threading through his voice. "With you, always," she replied, her eyes sparkling with a mix of bravery and trust. The little dog barked again, a fierce sound that broke through the suffocating silence, reminding them of their purpose. The shadow hissed, swirling with fury. "You think you can confront your past? You will only fall deeper into despair," it bellowed. "Your vulnerability can be your undoing. Remember that." James felt a rush of defiance rise up within him. "No. You're wrong," he shouted. "This is not despair, this is understanding. We're ready to face the pain together." As he spoke, memories surged within him, a kaleidoscope of laughter, love, and sorrow. The joy of family holidays, the warmth of embraces, the harshness of loss. It was all woven together, and as he acknowledged them, the shadows rippled, hesitating once more. Clara stepped forward, eyes blazing with conviction. "We choose to embrace the light amongst the darkness. That's where our strength lies." The shadow snarled, confusion creeping into its dark essence. "You think those memories can protect you?" "Yes," James cried, feeling the collective strength surge through Clara, the little dog, and every precious moment they held onto. "They make us whole, they remind us what it means to love and be loved. Whatever you are, you cannot break that bond." The darkness shuddered, as if uncertain how to react. A dull roar filled the air as memories continued crashing down around them like waves, but this time, the light grew brighter, pushing back the overwhelming presence of fear. "Focus on the love," Clara shouted, her voice steady and clear. "We want to let you extinguish us." And just like that, something shifted. The pulse of their combined strength vibrated through the room, bathing James in warmth. The little dog stood its ground, fiercely barking, its glow radiating even more intensely. The shadows lurched back, recoiling like a tide being pushed by a sudden storm. "Embrace your fears," James urged. "But also remember who you are, and who we are together." In that moment, the darkness erupted, swirling and screaming as old memories formed a protective barrier around them. The images transformed, creating a swirling vortex of intertwining pasts: his childhood home, Clara's laughter, times of shared sorrow and joy. The dark figure shrieked, veins of panic threading through its voice. "No! This cannot be!" "Yes, it can!" James shouted back. "This is the power of understanding our past. We can't be consumed by it. We will dance with our shadows until we learn from them." Clara nodded fiercely, stepping closer to him, both of their hearts thrumming in sync with the words unspoken, the promise that together, they could face anything. The shadow howled as if caught in a storm, the memories collapsing onto it, disassembling its form layer by layer until it began to dissolve, consumed by the very warmth they conjured. "Remember," it hissed, fading into the light, "your journey is only beginning with that." The darkness erupted into a burst of shimmering energy, flowing around James and Clara like sunlight breaking through clouds. The air filled with a gentle warmth. As it enveloped them, memories danced like fireflies, filling the space with laughter and the bittersweet heaviness of past loss. They stood amidst the remnants of their emotional confrontation, hearts forever changed. The little dog nuzzled against James's leg, its timid tail wagging gently, a silent promise of companionship. Clara stepped closer, her eyes shining with unshed tears, but this time they were different. These were tears of relief, triumph. "We did it, James." "Together," he replied, pulling her in for an embrace, feeling the lingering weight of fear lift. As they stood in their heartwarming sanctuary, memories folded around them like a safety blanket, James knew this was the beginning of something beautiful, a chance to reconnect with his past while moving toward the future. In the warm glow of the ether, the mansion felt lighter, unburdened by the shadows of grief. The storm had passed, leaving clarity in its wake. Answers had emerged from the darkness, and so too had hope. "Let us honor your mother," Clara spoke softly, gently touching the letters still clasped tightly within James's hands. "We can share this story. We might help others find their way through the shadows." James smiled, a full and genuine smile that illuminated the dim corners of his heart. They had faced the storm and come out stronger, united by grief and love alike. "Yeah, let us do this," he replied. As they turned to leave the attic, the little dog trotting faithfully beside them, they carried the weight of revelations but also the joy of newfound understanding, ready to embrace life anew. But just beyond the door lay endless possibilities, awaiting their next adventure, and as they stepped forward, leaving the past behind, they embarked on a journey toward healing and reconciliation, a story of rebirth in an uncertain world. The journey to face life's truths had just begun. Don't wait another moment. You need to subscribe now to be the first to see more exclusive stories like this. Smash that like button right now if this ending touched your heart. And flood the comments with your reactions and theories because I want to know what you think about this conclusion. Lastly, don't just keep this to yourself. Instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need this spark of hope. This is the moment to show your support.